Welcome to the Brotherhood of Iron podcast. This is our fourth episode. Yeah, it's our fourth episode. We are here with Terry Christie, the master of muscles, if I'm correct.
Thank you,
He's
Terry.
got a
nice to meet you, Terry. How you doing?
he's got a master's in muscles. That's what he said to us anyway. And then the rest of us jokes. He's a regular functioning person, and here we are. So, Terry, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, guys. I'd like to say at the start, this is not my table. Are you allowed to curse on this one, are you?
Oh, yeah.
No,
Ian beeps it all
fuck,
out
let's
anyway.
not
Bringing this up again every time we bring it
Fucking
up.
filthy. And so, yeah, you have to bleep all these out for an hour afterwards, do you? Fuck that.
I wish. I just every time there's a fuck guy.
down, will you?
So later on, we're just all going to lie on, and he's going to give us a good deep.
Terry's going to touch us up.
massage.
Vitus had some techniques he's going to show me in the thing. We got the little hole table. I don't know why the fuck you wanted the little hole table specific. This is Vitus' table.
I can't do that.
You can't do that.
That hole is just...
Stick your feet through. I don't know.
I don't know.
Jesus.
And we'll do
Are you
Peter's
actually meant to
toenails
stick your
when
head
we're
through
finished later
No,
on.
I think that's for the back of your head.
Okay, yeah.
So when you're lying that way, and then there's the
you're an
the extension.
If you're in the
The
Matrix.
extension goes here.
Better call Dave. I'm not supposed to store this table.
David,
Anyway, it's
what
not my
is the
table,
storage
but we've
table
cleaned up
about?
as best we can.
Yeah, and quite a bit of grime came off that yoke. What were you doing, Dave?
Come here, what are we doing today?
So
Talking shit as everything.
yeah, talking shit as always, but this time we have a physio in the room, and we're going to ask you about all of our creaks and pains
It's
and
actually
everything
not
like
first
that.
question, yeah? You told me you were in China.
I told you I was in China.
You lived in China.
I did live in China,
What
yeah.
the fuck? Well, how
Yeah,
long?
I lived in China about a year and a half back at the turn of the century.
Jesus.
That long ago. It's a long time ago when China was China. When
When China was China,
I
and
went
not
into a shop. I was talking to
China.
because I practice my Chinese when I go in to see a Chinese person. I like to ask them for biscuits in Chinese, and they tell you, and then they freak out. What the fuck you ask me that for? Yeah, bing gang yoma. They do that. But I went in. I was talking to a guy in a watch shop, and he's telling me, bing gang yoma. So anyway,
All right, okay,
anyway,
that's an
no,
actual
that's
Chinese.
an actual word.
Yeah,
It's an actual. Bing gang is a biscuit. Yeah. So I go in. I'm talking to a dude about watches. And,
China.
I'm trying on a watch, which is a $5-6 grand watch that I can't afford. I'm just trying on for the cracks on board. I'm waiting for someone in town. And this guy's dad had a present of one. And when I was living in China, you could buy an apartment for 9 grand. So that's a long time ago. So yeah, it's changed a lot. I'm dying to go back, but it's a great place to live. It's an awesome place to live. I loved it. People are fantastic.
And were you practicing over there as a physiotherapist?
No, I was working I'm a physical therapist here. I was practicing over there doing acupuncture. I started life doing
Okay.
acupuncture and doing so when you guys were giving me I got a slagging over being a Reiki master earlier on. Now I did the 2-day Reiki. I didn't do a 2-day Reiki. No, but I got a slagging over being a wellness expert.
Yeah,
I'm not a
he did his
fucking
3-day
The same as
course
being a
on wellness.
Pokemon master, basically.
Yeah, well, I think that's
Yeah.
fair. Pokemon master, you got to do at least you got a HETAC qualification. Pokemon, fucking yeah. No, so when I lived in China, I was practicing acupuncture. I was learning acupuncture and learning a bit of Chinese martial arts and a bit of what we now call mindfulness, which means sitting down having a rest.
Okay.
Translate it.
Taking a bit of time for yourself.
It pretty much is what mindfulness is, but we can't sell it or charge as much money if we call it that. So we got to put a proper name.
You
on
have to
it.
have
based,
mindfulness. Yeah, okay.
Fucking pain the whole reduction or
Take
whatever
10.
we call it. Yeah.
Isn't it? There's actually
Pretty much,
there's apps you can get and everything on your phone now.
I
about
come across
mindfulness,
another great one they use in psychology, which is called behavioral activation, which I translate as getting off your hole, which is pretty good too. It's another technique we can't charge someone to tell them to get off their hole. It's the thing. If you call it behavioral activation, you can put a whole thing around and sell a workshop. But anyway, I was studying.
You're giving away all the secrets.
That's
here.
it, yeah,
I'm not
gonna do
paying
that,
that brick.
Well, that's what it is like, you do know how many, all they need
I
to
don't
be
mean to
told.
sorry psychologist. I don't mean.
Fuck them, Well, look, you know yourself, like, the
At this
most...
point, I'd like to disassociate.
Want to go run away. The most of times, what they need to be told, all lazy fuckers,
Just get up off your hole.
shit, are you feeling okay today, Maybe you
Feeling
could just
okay.
go outside take a walk for 5 minutes. Shut the fuck up, you know what I mean? By the way, today's thing, I saw on Instagram, you know that Andy Frisell or whatever his name, One Farm something company. Funny thing, the awards for ice hockey, second place Sweden got one second place.
Yeah.
So
Got the silver medal
you
or
know.
whatever, yeah.
fucking shit, So the thing was like what went on, what I liked, show one, like, the reaction of the guy. Look at this. Like, he gets the medal,
Oh, he
He's
fucks
given the
him.
medal. Look at this. He just wanted to take a hand, They put him on the neck. Straight away, it strips that off.
What's that now? What's that about?
Second place. fuck second
Oh,
place.
he doesn't want this fuck second place.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
I understand, like, second place, yeah. But actually, I agree with him, yeah.
You gotta admire the commitment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's living. Yeah.
You might say, yeah, sore loser. Fuck that. Yeah, like, I'm just like, look, you can call me sore loser every fucking time, anytime you want. Like, from teenage years that were playing rugby, yeah, would take me a week to get over the loss. Because I couldn't take that in. It's okay to lose. You know what I mean? And, all this tap on the shoulder that it's fine and all this, fuck that. Like, if you're not aiming for number one spot, what the fuck you aiming for? Participation? You want an award for that too? Fuck that. So like, let's say martial arts, yeah? You go in the competition, you got knocked out, what you want to expect, like, a award for that?
This is our best
No one
knockout.
gets an award for
Yeah, but what I will say is that there's a big difference between losing and being beaten. As in, like, if there's if you do, like, you literally have tried everything and you still beaten, and like you can't answer the question as why the fuck did I lose? It's like, okay, maybe I didn't work hard enough, and that can be like hindsight, and you'll say, fucking, I should have worked harder, I could have done this better, and that is extremely frustrating. Like, I've been on the losing end quite a few times in various things, like rugby or whatever, in performing the same, and I feel the same way, and I'm like, how the fuck did that fucker beat me? Or how, like, there's been times when I've lost, like, where I've let it happen, and then there's been other times when I've done everything I can, and it's like, what? How the fuck did that happen? And like, the frustration there is like, how did I lose that? Like, how the fuck was I beaten?
But it shouldn't be fucking okay. Like, I mean, you lost.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Like,
you're saying, like, you shouldn't be fuck it, whatever. Like, if that attitude, why bring that?
You're saying then that 99% of the people that were in that competition, that's not okay, and that can't be right. That's, I mean, they're not. They're of some value to humanity.
But imagine, like, if fucking 100% of competitors were going for number one spot, what kind of fucking great competition would be?
What it is, I think maybe the balance is that you're looking at acknowledging that you did fail, you didn't do what you want to do. You did okay, but you didn't do what you wanted to do, and being real with that, instead of getting a medal which says, oh no, you did okay anyway, it doesn't matter. It does fucking matter. Yeah, and you got to acknowledge it for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like,
is it worth spending 3 weeks being pissed off over? No. Is it worth spending a week? Yeah.
It is.
Day or two anyway.
There's like instant fucking reaction. It's like post-match reaction. Yeah.
But you'd wonder if that's because he knows he didn't give enough, or like, if you know you gave you 100% and you lost, like,
he's sending a message along the lines of that this was fucking fixed, or or somebody threw the game, or so. There's a lot of questions about that. Is like, what was going through his head that made him do that? Because he threw it in the crowd, didn't he?
No, I just went off.
Because somebody threw their medal into the crowd, and it must have been him.
Could be, yeah.
And there was a bloke who was wearing a US top, standing beside a Canadian guy, and then he took off his US top. Or was he wearing a Canadian, took off the Canadian, was wearing USA underneath, took off the USA, and he had the Swedish jersey on the bottom, and he was like,
So you came prepared.
Yeah, he came well prepared.
Yeah, well prepared, yeah. Well, like, from coming back.
We got straight into postmodernism. I'm fucking really.
Well, like, coming back from that to what you were saying, like, about, like, well-being, whatever bullshit they're like, let's sit down.
Oh, you're having a mindfulness,
make you, I'll fix you and you can go now to the world and do this and that. Like, first of all, you're probably just lazy fuck. Would you ever admit yourself?
I don't look at the world that way. I don't look at the world that way. See, here's the thing. At times there is that, but I think people get beaten down a bit by life. Do you know what I mean? They get a lot of responsibilities and stuff around them, and that happens. And if I thought telling them they're a lazy bastard was the best way, and sometimes maybe it is. Do you know what I mean? And again, for my job's different to your job as well. It's a different thing, you know what I mean? But a lot of time, I don't think that's the most effective way for me to get them from where they are to where they want to be.
Oh, no. Look,
you know
I'm
what I
not
mean?
saying everybody anyway, but I'm saying the most of them.
I think people got to get used to having a look at it, what the shit they're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Have a look at it and get used to have a bit of balls and have a look at your life and have a look at what you're doing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. So, like, if you think, like, if more like, let's say, likes like you or us or any other place, like, when somebody comes over, like, instead of bullshit, they're like, oh, just come over here to sign up, and 2 months time you'd be like fucking brand new, and then
we're talking flip flops.
Yeah, like flat PTs with flip flops, fucking moving masters, whatever fuck they are. Like, what the fuck?
If I could grow a man bun, I'd be a fucking movement master. I swear to God.
I know. Me too. Like
just
running.
didn't work on me. The forehead's too high.
Running
It's
in a
all
Phoenix
about
bar.
it's about the centre of gravity. That's what that's about.
That helps with that. It helps with the
Yeah.
deadlift and it helps with the bear crawls.
Like
and all
it
the
sits
shit.
right
Yeah,
over the middle, and they balance. They're totally balanced.
That's
Zen.
the
They're
thing,
just, you know,
bro. Yeah.
Like it.
And walk along my beam of wood in the middle of
We're
my
just talking 2 days ago, yeah, about the other dude, like about this trend and all, like, you know, instead of trying to drop the weight, the fat, basically wants to drop the fat. I'm telling him, like, forget about scale for now, force you get stronger.
Yeah.
Then it'll be easier to drop the fat, yeah? So that's what happened, like I was saying there, like, you know, 2 weeks ago or whatever, you couldn't bench 50 kilos for one, today was 50 by 8.
yeah.
You know, you cannot say that's improvement, you know what I mean? No, first time this trap bar walk, he struggled with 83. Today was 173 walking. He did 173, I think, for 2 days ago. Now, the masters will say, oh, what the fuck you gave to do fucking that? And like just 2 days later, he didn't recover. Fuck you, he's 141 kilo. He can recover. There's plenty of resources there to recover. You know what I mean? Like
There's
if you,
plenty
like,
in
see,
the larder
you know,
to-
so like if you won't be pushed, yeah, you won't be coming over. Like most of, you know,
Yeah, I think when you
Honest.
go into a gym, you walk into a gym and there's a big, like, 8-foot fucking sign that says animal over the fucking door. I think you kind of know where you're going. you got to take some responsibility.
Big old skull looking
so
down
I'm going
at
to do
you.
some aerobics now and do some fucking
Pilates.
exercise and shit and do some
TRX.
Don't start me on fucking Pilates.
There is a TRX band
go,
up there.
Pilates.
That's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
I know
Okay.
somebody who knows somebody.
Oh, I know.
I've got friends.
I'm the
that teach
somebody who
Pilates,
knows
and
somebody.
There's some great Pilates teachers out there, and if you like doing Pilates, Pilates is what you should do. We talked about sore backs earlier on, and people doing
Is there
Pilates
stuff like
with sore
this? Stuff
backs.
called like clinical.
Yeah. Now again, so glad we started with the mindfulness, which is sitting down and having a fucking relax.
Yeah.
Right. Clinical is how we charge even more money for Pilates. Now here's the thing: if you like doing Pilates, Pilates is fucking great. Go and do it for sure, absolutely. If you're doing Pilates because you need to fix your core, because your transverse abdominis isn't contracting properly, and you need to get your back fixed, you're wasting your time. You're wasting your money, and if you're not enjoying it, you're wasting your happiness enjoying your time on this fucking planet. Because it doesn't work. You can find systematic reviews. You go back to JOSPT, Journal of Orthopedic Sports Physical Therapy from, say, 2013. You'll find a systematic review where they take all the randomized control trials into Pilates for treatment of low back pain. Does it work? No better than going for a walk.
Yeah.
You like walking? I like walking. It's nice you got a fucking dog.
Yeah.
I know what I will say is
walk.
that I don't
One
use it
out
for
of
back
the
pain. I do it so I to stop paying myself.
You do because you're graceful. Oh, you just so sorry, that's very good.
Do you have
I'm
something
like
to
an
tell us,
80-year-old
Peter?
man.
Tell us, Peter.
Yeah.
No,
Please-
I just.
please
You
enlighten
might
us.
want to get that look. If I just put him
I mean,
up
that's
on
all
the
I'm looking for. Somebody please just have a look at it.
Use that hope.
Get him a glove.
Someone out there have a look at it.
There, some gloves.
He's checking it.
It's like someone tearing the beer mats. You know, they say if someone's tearing beer mats, he's actually frustrated. I'm here.
Put your hand down the hole.
No, like that's what I was actually more so doing it for breathing, as in to actually
If I
think
didn't
about.
know when you did Pilates, I would have been slagging that. Oh, how much would I have been slagging it? Oh my
Terry,
fucking God.
Like,
If I'd have known.
just stop this.
I was
okay?
super impressed with the opposite. I was fucking super impressed with that. You fucked it up now with the Pilates.
Will you believe trying to, in terms of like breath for singing?
Is it useful for that? Yeah.
Well, it's just engaged with the lower muscles. Like I hadn't actually even thought about something that low. Even powerlifting and bracing for powerlifting, thinking how low and tight like to get.
Yeah.
That's more so what I would have liked about it. It was nothing to do with
So
back pain.
there's an analysis on that idea that you have to pull in your belly button, which is usually where you start with a Pilates thing. From what I know, I'm not a Pilates teacher, I don't really know, but from my understanding of in the literature, you start with pulling in your belly button to contract your transverse abdominis, which runs across this area here. That or you contract it and you pull in your belly button and hold it in. Now here's the thing. There's been another study there, another systematic review of all the studies. So the theory was that people got sore backs because they had a weak core. You had a weak core or you have late firing core muscles. So in other words, you got to lift something up and they don't fire quick enough to stabilize your back and you put it out of position and it hurts something and that's how you get back pain. That was the theory. It was based on some shockingly bad research. There was like 8 people in one group and 5 people in another group, and 8 people have back pain and 5 people don't. And you know, it worked on one side of the body and didn't work on another side of the body when they did the research. They got electrodes on, and some of them are fat people and some of them are thin people, and they're trying to measure when the muscles are turned on and off. So it's not a great research methodology for starters. So anyway, they did that stuff back in the late 90s in, I think it was Queensland University down there in Sydney. That's right, isn't it? Yeah. They repeated that again a few years afterwards, and they've done a few studies where they don't find the same thing. And when you review all the studies looking into, is a weak transverse abdominis or late firing multifidus, is that causing all these muscles? People know if they're on YouTube looking at back pain, they'll find all these guys here. Does that lead to back pain? No, it doesn't. It's not associated with back pain.
Okay.
But there's a subgroup of people in there who have a sore back, who have very tight core. And people who've got a sore back move in a very stiff way. They put a lot of stiffness through the trunk. Now, here's the thing. Is there a difference? If you were doing some curls, I've seen this.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking no. I've seen him last week. You're going to see him last
For
week.
the girls. That's why they're called.
He's just trying to say that we just curl all day.
You got a thing of that NOS.
We're trying to say.
He's doing fucking curls. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't do curls. No, I do functional stuff. I do bear crawls instead. I'm good, bro. I'm
functional
curls.
Man,
but functional curls.
Functional curls are with a barbell.
Well, yeah, I think they're very fun.
How about functional fuck off? That's what I say to you.
Exactly. But I actually love that curl machine. Quite nice. So, where was I?
You were just talking about
bicep curls.
Yeah, talking shit about the core, wasn't I? Yeah. So the theory of the core has been blown out, but there are people that have a too tight core. Now here's the thing: qualitatively, if you're doing some curls and your arm gets sore, is that a worry to you? Cause a worry? You got a sharp pain in your fucking biceps in the end of your fifth set or whatever.
Are you happy?
Now, are we talking about we talking about the bomb, or like a kind of lactic acid, or?
Well, here's the thing. That's the thing. Is how you interpret it, isn't it? Because we interpret pain in different ways, right?
Yeah.
But what you're saying, the main thing is you're happy. You're probably not happy if you're not sore in your last set of curls. You're a bit pissed off. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not really going to failure here. If you're sore the next day after doing curls or 2 days later, how's that feel?
Great again.
Yeah, you're
so
Good,
good
right?
shit.
Oh, I did a bit of work yesterday. Oh, good, bro. Yeah, exactly.
Gains.
Yeah, did a bit of work. Now, here's the thing. Close your eyes and relax for a second and think about this. You're deadlifting one day, you get this fucking burny pain in your fucking back. You just into your fucking ass muscles. Pull a rep. Fuck. What do you do?
Panic.
You're not getting someone come over and spot you. 3 more, bro. 3 more, bro.
Yeah.
It's a different thing, isn't it? The initial thing is that panic.
Yeah,
I've done it plenty of times.
like
It's a panic thing. It's a qualitative difference that we treat back muscles different to we treat arm muscles. And the thing is this, if you got a pain in your arm, you wouldn't lock it up, brace it as tight as you could and walk around for a few days with your arm tight. And say, what's wrong, Terry? Oh, sorry, bud, I was just fucking doing something with my arm and got real sore. When it's 3 days ago, how's it feel? It feels really heavy and sore and tight, you know? But what do we do with our back? We move around like that. We put an arch into it. Because we think an arch is good, sit up straight. We've seen all the manual handling things and the posture videos. We put a lumbar roll in. And we brace all the muscles. Tighten the fuck out of it.
I was doing the manual handling course, and shit you not. I picked a box up off the ground, my trousers thrown. I was literally the first person, and I was like, oh, of course. He goes, all right, big man, you come over and pick this up. And I was like, fuck's sake, I said, big man, what's he talking about? So I just
go down like,
bro.
down
I
legs,
was like,
down like,
yeah, I was
perfect.
like, what they looking for? The straight back and the da-da. And I was like, and they're like, yeah, all right. And I was like, my trousers. And like, I mean, not even a little bit, like the whole bottom.
No. How many people were in the?
Including all of my brothers and my dad.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
that's
like,
all right.
so
it's
that
not
was
too
kind
bad.
of all right,
Yeah.
but then you have to live with that for a little bit longer, you know.
There's a picture.
Because
I'm taking pictures of me. I'm taking videos.
Yeah, there's a few others in the room that were just like,
big man.
Yeah, I was like, bastard. But sorry, I disappeared.
You're okay, but I'm wondering how far your car was from that thing, because the first thing goes through my head is how far is my fucking car? And then how do I get from my car to my house? Where the nearest intact pair of trousers is what I'm thinking at that point right there.
When you're talking about like the panicking on deadlift, because there has been moments when I have done that and I've gone, fuck, I'm after doing something to myself here.
Yeah.
So is that also like kind of a built-in psychological thing? But you immediately like will tense. Like you say, bicep curl, you're feeling a bit sore, you'll kind of go, all right, we're getting somewhere. Is it because in my head I associate back pain with something being bad that I almost do like an anti-trauma effect?
Even in the words you use there about trauma and all that, isn't it interesting, isn't it? We don't use them about sore biceps.
Yeah.
It's not traumatic to have a sore biceps. It's a different experience. Now,
unless you're like washing
the thing is, your deadlift is a back exercise. You're using your back muscles.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're putting pressure on the back tendons of those muscles and so on and so forth. And, you know, they can give you a sharp pain and it's not fun. But it's qualitatively, the experience of that is usually, for a lot of people, quite different. And here's the thing. When we look at the epidemiology of it, we look at how back pain has gone, I like that I can curse and use epidemiology in the one podcast. I feel quite satisfied with myself at the moment. It's okay. But if you look at it over the last few decades, I'll give you an example of one study from, this is North Carolina in America. Now, America is the leader of back pain. They're great at getting back pain in America. They're really good at getting it and really good at giving it opiates for it, which is great too. So you end up with a sore back and a drug problem and no job, which is really good fun to do. But they've done that a lot there. Now, here's one of the things. It started in, I think it was 1992, and took the data again in about 2005, 2006, so about a 14-year period. And they found that back pain rates, or disability from low back pain, almost tripled in that period of time. So people are lifting less, they're more sedentary, they're not, doing what they should be doing in terms of whatever. We've had Pilates, core work.
Time in it. Okay, Grant.
We good, yeah?
Oh yeah, no, it's just in
a
case.
Rehearsal, right?
Like we've been here for a while.
Doing a in a minute.
But
But we've got all those things happening at that time, between the 90s and the 2000s. That's when people are doing that stuff, doing that exercise for back pain. They cut bags of cement from whatever they cut them from here. A bag of cement used to be 50 kilos. They cut it down to 25 kilos.
Yeah, 25.
20 kilos. So we bring in all these things to help people stop from getting back pain, to make life easier. Yeah. And what happens is they get more back pain, or they get more disability from low back pain. Yeah. Now, it's an interesting thing you talked about, the psychological part. We have some evidence that anxiety and depression can be risk factors for back pain, from making a sore back into a chronically sore back that has been back sore for more than 3 months. Yeah, you can see that in the literature. It's pretty clear.
Okay.
The other thing we see, but is that over the last 20, 30 years, even though we're further away from a world war and a lot of hardship and people seeing a lot of death and misery, anxiety and depression levels are going up, in line with back pain rates going up. Now, whether that's one is causing the other, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that it's interesting to say this correlation there in the data.
Yeah, but if you think, let's say, what normally happens, let's say, if you tie it back and you have that fucking thought straight away, oh, I fucked up and all, instantly, force reaction, fuck, for me, it's like, I can't deadlift now. So I get fucking, fucked up.
Yeah, it's an anxiety thing. Like, you get a panic.
No, let's say, take away that. Like, somebody who doesn't lift, he doesn't have that, but he thinks right away, oh, can do this, this, and that, or whatever. Fuck. Now, I would say that leads to some sort of fucking depression, whatever, pussy ass shit, whatever you call it. It's it is. Dude.
Get him up on the table. You give his neck a little massage there. I'm gonna chant over him. I'm gonna
what?
What is like? You got the tambourine.
Just saying as I fucking
all
see
right,
it.
fucking Vladimir. What the fuck?
Saying as he sees it.
Fucking food.
I just said, realistically, it hits like that. The first thing you think you cannot do that, and that stuff. So it gets you whatever, upset or whatever, fuck. I actually said, you get all tied up.
Yeah.
You know what the dude? He couldn't fucking move. I fucked up my back and he was helping me take plates.
And a fucking strong dude.
Yeah, and there's nothing actually happened. 20 minutes later, it was going on the cross trainer like motherfucker. They just spinning.
And it's great because he's a mentally strong guy as well. That's the thing. And I think what we've done is our profession, medical profession, so on, the media as well to some extent, we've put stuff out there that scared the shit out of people about their backs. And the back used to be something that people get lumbago. They take a morning off work, go in the afternoon, no fucking worries, back in again the next day. Now they go, oh shit, better go to the doctor, get it checked out, better get an MRI scan, and we get this cascade of medicalising something that's really quite normal.
3 days off, see, I work in a profession where we'd be lifting boxes and stuff all day, so it's like, but there's even laws in that your employer has to make it as easy as possible for you that you don't lift that much. That's the laws, the Irish laws for employment that say this, that they have to make it as easy for you as possible, so you don't have to lift. So trolleys, all this kind of stuff.
It's interesting.
But, it is, But
and has it worked with getting rid of back pain? No, there's more than ever, Yeah.
But even in my industry, a lot of people, the main reason people are off is because be off 3-4 days, back injury.
That's the thing, and it's probably quite a worrying thing when you get it and you can't work. Then you go, shit, is the boss pissed off? We get these kind of situations, So we've managed to scare the shit out of people a bit. It's affected public policy to a good extent, and it hasn't resulted in people getting less back pain. So that kind of thing of protecting people from stress or protecting them from bad news or protecting them from whatever doesn't always work. No. That if you're exposed to a stress in the right amount, you get stronger.
Yeah,
you get inoculated to the stress, whatever that is, and it's pretty much that simple. It works for training, it works for injuries, it works for whatever.
As you were saying before, too much comfort, it's bad for you. You know what I mean? Just makes you a pussy,
Mollycoddle.
You said pussification of the nation.
Pussification.
There you go. That's what it is.
The masters of muscle said it.
That's
I
it.
think,
Oh,
yeah, it's been misquoted.
new T-shirt
I
coming
will
out,
call
dude.
my solicitor and say, you're
Justification
not
of
going to
the
mention our
nation.
company on this podcast.
That's the name of this episode
You'll be
now.
contacted
Don't
on
steal
Monday
that.
by my
That's
attorney.
ours.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Pussification.
This
You
is-
see the
this is
tagline on
Mark
the front of the
Bell.
building now, yeah,
We
pussification.
put Che Guevara on, the fist on the back.
Oh god. This is descending into chaos.
So, is that,
Terry, you bring out the
But
worst.
you see that, I'd imagine, you know, an interesting happens, but the first time I had a sore back in the last years, I walked in here to the deadlift off. And I brought my belt in. I was a bit late. I'm thinking I'd enter. I wasn't going to win it. I was going to enter, right, just for the crack, you know. Dude, so I get in a bit late and I'm looking around. And the first thing I meet someone who goes, I go, you lifting? Like, oh no, hurt me back 2 days ago. And I go, that's like, fucking, that's not good with this shit pussy, because he's not a patient, I don't give a fuck. So I just wind him up, you know. So I come around and I'm standing there, and after about an hour, you're foam rolling your back. And I could see a load of guys going around. No one actually got an injury, but they're like, oh shit, I don't want to go a heavier one, you know, in case something bad happens. And you hear them go, I'm afraid now, I don't want to go any heavier, you know. And no one actually picked up an injury. I couldn't see him actually pick up an injury.
Happen, man.
But you could see the worry of it. And after a while, I'm standing there, I'm smiling, going, "Oh shit, my back is getting sore," and I'm standing. I should actually be deadlifting tonight. I'm thinking, are these guys going to finish before I get a workout? Because I didn't know how the deadlift off works. I'm thinking, fuck. I thought he's squatting and then pulling a few deadlifts and shit. And I'm doing that, and as I'm standing there, my back muscles are getting sore because I'm looking at people with a sore back, and it's a cultural.
It's like
it's a thing. It
Didn't
gets
think
in
about
the
that.
air.
Well, it's like
it's almost like muscular
your body
empathy,
is
isn't it?
constantly
We all constantly do. We all of us do. And I could blast out the research about back pain and all that. I lecture and that stuff. I do that, and I'm still doing it. And it's always funny, you know, when I got it, you know. So it's grand. Now when I get a back pain, what I do now, I go and usually lift something and feel much better afterwards, you know.
And that is funny actually, because a couple of months ago I got it in work actually saying that, like, but yeah, like I'd still come in here and lift, and like I actually felt better. I probably shouldn't have said that. I was lifting when I was.
He felt terrible. He felt terrible. He's contacted a solicitor, and you will be hearing from him.
But yeah, I actually felt better. Like I come in
Have
here.
you
doing
had an
even
accident or an injury?
reverse hypers, reverse hypers or something like that, and I felt way better. But then, like, I got home and then, you know, it. But like, I never went to it fixed itself.
I would say like you
And
got
they do fix themselves. That's what we're laughing
It
before
is,
we come
yeah.
in. Yeah. And by the way, I hope this is not going out on the internet or anything like that, because I don't want anyone knowing that your back will fix itself. Because fuck that, that's going to cost me money. People know that.
The whole
Where
back
else
pain is,
would
back
this
pain
be
is
going?
a self-limiting condition. How fucking dare you tell anyone that?
No,
But
basically
but
he
like-
turns this
accountant
into
is now
Morse
beating his head
code
off his
and then he
desk,
puts
yeah.
it out over like the
Russian
radio waves.
farm.
It's like
That's all. This is just for us, right? That's
right,
yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
it's
like
not going near the
you
internet.
said,
That's
like you
grand,
did hyperextensions, eh?
Yeah.
The same as like, remember I was saying that maybe to him on the incline hyperextensions,
Yeah,
you
for
get
sure,
the
yeah.
blood in the lower back and that's it. But like you had the better way forced for him anyway to
We
just
don't
to-
know what was better, but
No, but I think it was better for him because he was so stressed out. So we started just breathing and relaxing. That helped out. You know what I mean? That's it. Then let's say for me, it's too hard to relax, like, you know, sitting there, whatever. Fuck, you know. If I lie down, I can relax, no problem. But I feel better if I go on that hyperextension, the incline one.
Yeah.
It doesn't put that much, you know,
But
load on that.
you're so
I got the
literally
blood in.
hyperactive.
Oh, like
You
put
need
the
a
blood in.
hyperactive
You know?
extension.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, hyperactive extension.
yeah.
There's electrolytes fucking coming in, 3 fucking 30 current killing you balls and all this. That's how you fix yourself. No, I was saying, like, you know.
That's what that machine's for. I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like on that.
that's what it is.
You do like how many sets you done when you got going on that? You got a lot?
6, like I do, yeah, I do.
But it's not like you're not going like 30, 40 reps.
No.
Yeah, I mean, so same way, like I just go and say, like, from before, like, remember from studying, like, there was some actually physiology fucking shit like was there.
Yeah.
So there was one, like, you know, the other one upstairs we have the
flat one,
the
yeah,
flat
yeah.
one, yeah, like kind of
Oh, yeah,
parallel
with
to
the
the
nose.
ground,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So she was the lecturer was telling me, like, you know, like, and everybody else, like, to do like to count of 6, you go down. To count of 6, you're coming up, and to count of 6, you're holding there. I only do 6 reps. That's after the spine injuries, like proper spine injuries, not the bullshit injury, but real injuries. Yeah.
Oh,
that's
the legit ones.
yeah, like, you know,
plane crash,
won't fix
whatever,
itself.
fuck, yeah.
snake bite.
I'm
Back
saying,
to
like,
that segue. There's a segue there for you. Give me that in a second.
so it was like said that was like kind of, I think that came from Russians, that those numbers. So it was as a first phase of.
Well, if I came from the Russians, I wouldn't dare contradict it.
Exactly, no.
I wouldn't dare contradict it.
Careful,
Yeah,
because if they're listening,
you look great with no
If they're
shirt
listening
on,
now.
It's all good. You go, yeah.
I say like, you're zooming in on us. Zooming in on us now.
There's a fucking
go. They know, they know.
drone. It's going to come in through there, yeah.
Blät. Now, Kurwa is Polish word.
it's the only one I know.
Close enough, clever.
Yeah, he has a Polish guy working for him.
racist,
lower back,
Peter.
yeah?
So racist. Korma, how dare you?
Korma. I said
Korma.
I said Korma.
So, and I was actually speaking Chinese. And you, oh,
Thing is,
bro,
all recording will be.
Yeah, no,
I'm not
this
sure
is
this
all
is
gone
appropriate anymore. Yeah.
No, look, on that lower back, yeah, as you're saying, like,
Yeah.
it's most of the time probably fix itself if you give enough time and you stop worrying too much. Nobody telling you, like, fucking, if you feel too tight, jump straight in 200. You know what I mean? But if you work slowly up, maybe on that day it's enough to like 120, 150, who knows?
Yeah.
Just, feel it out. But do something instead of just lying down. It's like, as I was saying before, blood heals everything, Get the blood
The
flow.
first thing someone tells you if you hurt your back is, like, the same if I'm in work, is like, oh yeah, just go home, relax, go home, lie down for 3 days. That's probably the worst thing you can do.
What message does that give you then if you were there? You don't know anything about sore back. Say you're 20, it's the first time you had a sore back. What message does that give you when everyone tells you, oh,
Do nothing.
back off,
Yeah.
back off?
Yeah, it's telling
know.
you straight away that's.
You should be afraid of it. You should
Yeah.
take it easy on that. Now, don't move it at all. And lie down. They used to also lie down on a board and all this kind of stuff, So what we call that is there's a name for that type of behaviour that we engage in, and it's great because you guys have an opportunity when you get young lifters coming in. You got the powerlifting club and all that stuff. You got an opportunity for them not to get afraid.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? For them not to, and I'm not all for being super positive where there's no reason to be positive. I'm just for being realistic.
Yeah.
Take the information, take the data, and be realistic about it. Be as scared as you need to be. Don't be any more scared than you need to be. Do you know what I mean? Or any less scared than you need to be either. You're reckless. But I mean, we call it fear avoidance, and that's one of the things. So there's a couple of main ones you see in a clinical setting. You see fear avoidance. So someone gets sore back. Oh. Immediately, I'm not doing nothing. I'm going home, going to bed. And you can get even this long term. I've had people that go to bed for 3 months with a sore back. If you start off, I'm going to go to bed for a day. That's fine. Then another couple of days, still not right. Shit, what I do now? Well, it's not going to be right. You're sitting there tight and you're in bed. And then 3 months later, you're still there. Now you're in a spot. It's very hard to get out of that spot. And nothing in your body is stronger and more conditioned and feeling better and healthier. None of those tissues are any healthier for lying in bed like that. You know what I mean? And this is like what we call non-specific low back pain, which is 90% of it's just minor sprains and strains and a bit of sensitivity in the back. Yeah. But it can turn into that because of the fear that's out there. Do you know what I mean? So we have an opportunity, I think, with a lot of younger lifters and younger people coming into gyms for them, one, not to get exposed to that scary stimulus. And then people our age who've been exposed to that, we're kind of ground zero for being exposed to, oh, geez, be careful your back, your discs, oh, Jesus, or the legit back injury and all that kind of stuff.
That was it was interesting because I remember what happened to my brother was in working in a warehouse. He actually fell off a ladder, so it wasn't like so it was an impact injury at first. But then afterwards, like, I mean, when the bruising goes down and all that kind of stuff, there's no more injury there, like that kind of way. But he was so afraid to go near exercise because of his back.
Yeah.
No, not my back, no, my back, no, my back. Now, then he went and he started running. He lost weight, got a little bit of confidence, went into a gym, and got a. And the amount of times I used to say to him, you need to start lifting weights. It's much better for your bones, and I was like, and for your heart, risk of stroke comes down.
All-cause mortality, yeah, everything,
So, like, that's just kind of trying to say to him, just like, fuck's sake, like, just go and do it. Wouldn't listen to me.
He can't. He's your brother. He can't listen to you.
Yeah, wouldn't listen to me. I was like, for fuck's sake. Anyway, moral of the story, he went into a gym, started working out, and hasn't had a bad back. And it's like, this is something that happened to him when he was 21.
I love the language is great, isn't it? Bad back.
Yeah,
it's like
a bad back.
It's like a dog is biting children or something, isn't it? It's like a bad back. You
can put him down, like, take him out into the yard and shoot him if he doesn't shut up.
And did he get an X-ray after you get the foul? Yeah.
You see, what happened was because of the impact, and it was interesting that it was my father had the same procedure done. Same ladder. Fell off it too. No, my dad.
Evil ladder.
I'll never forget.
Bad ladder. You got a
actually
bad ladder.
came
Not a bad
through
back,
the ceiling because he slipped in the attic.
Nice.
And you know where the attic's between the lats, like just fiberglass and plaster.
Yeah.
Came through the ceiling.
And we were just sitting
on his
there.
back, like through the ceiling.
If you think about it, you're worried about deadlifting or doing a Romanian deadlift. That's like I fell through a fucking thing. That's
because of like the neglect he then showed in terms of moving, there was a calcification build-up, and he had to have an operation. Now, the operation used to be where they actually literally split you up and they scraped.
Laminectomy,
yeah. Whereas now they can blast it You know, they can. They go blast it,
Blast.
bam. With like, is it infrared or something like that they can use?
There's different procedures. A lot of the time, but we get kind of when we take a super stroke. Okay, I'll come back for a second to the start to the injury if you don't mind, because that's a great example of something where you need to take a rational approach to it. If you have fallen through 2 roofs or two mezzanines or some shit like that, with a direct impact to your back, or Jamie Heaslip when that French was it the French prop or something kneed him in the spine?
Yeah.
Yes.
I remember watching the match and go, oh, that's broke. I'm looking and go, that's broke, because it meets all the clinical prediction rules for something that's broke. So normally we do screening on someone.
I'm broke.
I was sitting in the chair, oh, that's broke. And he's running around and going, he shouldn't be running around.
Funny, like.
It sounded funny in my head when I said it, because it's the worst coming out of my mouth. Oh, that's broke.
Hashtag that's broke.
That's broke. Yeah, that's what it was. But he got a direct impact from a 20-stone dude, and his excuse was really funny. I think his excuse at the time was something like, oh, I was sprinting, I was running, and I'd been looking at the guy sprinting. He got the ball at one point, that prop, and he couldn't lift his knees past whatever, but yet he could lift it high enough. Jam it into Jamie Heath's spine. It's like, oh, see, when you're sprinting, you can't lift your legs, but now you can when there's someone in your way. Bravo. But anyway, the point is, if you've had a direct impact to your spine, or you're an older person that had a minor impact to the spine, for sure, go in and get checked out, get some imaging, all that stuff. That's absolutely warranted. But if you have a little sprain or a strain, you wake up on a Monday morning, you lift up a milk bottle, and you've got a sprain or a strain, you've got no other conditions, and it's been there for a day or two, you do not need an MRI. The chances you need an MRI are very slim. If you have some neurological stuff, you can get that checked out. But even in those cases where you have impingement, as we call it, or neurological, so we call it radiculopathy, and that sensitivity of the nerve root. Yeah, sorry, I did it for this. Sorry, radix is a root, means a nerve root. So the nerve root is causing symptoms. Where that's an issue, where you have neurological symptoms beyond pain. So you have a lot of loss of sensation, a lot of weakness progressing, then for sure, you need to get that looked at and you need to consider your options. That's a tiny minority of back pain. Most of it is just and spasm up. You know, so for your brother's case, absolutely it's warranted.
But the thing is that
sure,
the time between that operation that they had and the accident was over 10 years.
Oh.
So it's interesting when you look at a human spine, and it's interesting to say, for example, if you went and got an MRI, I can say, what age do you go? What age are you?
I'm 25.
25, brilliant. I'll get you your stats now in a minute. You're my age. You're my age, yeah. He's 22.
Yes.
I
dye my beard.
27. So if someone got you when you're 20 and told you that, let me see, what are we looking at? Told you that you had a disc bulge, how would you feel? Or degeneration, which is that's one of the great ones, because we know it's one of the scariest things to hear. Is imagine you're 20 and
disc degeneration.
Yeah.
The thing I think is like, fuck. Why did I get this now? It's
it?
like that's something that happens to old people. For fuck's sake.
Right. It sounds like a decrepit degeneration. It's one of those kind of words. Word association.
But that's what I would have felt like so hard done by.
So if we look at the stats, you're looking at about 36. If we take a load of 20-year-olds who have never had back pain, you put them in an MRI scanner. So this usually happens to do a study. They bring them in and they're got an ankle sprain, or they lie to them. Yeah. No, but they get an ankle sprain or something like that, and they need to get an MRI for that for some reason. They did their ACL or something, and they say, by the way, do you mind if we MRI your spine as well, just for a bit of research? No problem at all. So they take the data. Have you ever had any back pain? Never. No problem at all. 36 or 38% of 20-year-olds are going to have disc degeneration or spinal degeneration in their back. Now here's the thing: if that many 20-year-olds have it, and by the time you get to our age, you're at about 50 to 60%, something like that. When you're 22. But by the time we age 22. But that's it. But you're talking around 50 to 60% when you get to that. But here's the thing: the pain doesn't correlate with that. You know what I mean? The actual the prevalence of pain in the community doesn't correlate with that. So in other words, you can have all those things and never have a day's pain in your life. It's kind of normal. So it's a little bit like the analogy we'd give you is this: we call it now normal spinal aging. We don't call it degenerative disc disease or things like that, because it's not accurate. It's not an accurate description of what it is. It's just your body changes shape over time, and it doesn't look like a textbook. None of you guys look like fucking Brad Pitt when he's 20. Brad Pitt doesn't look like Brad Pitt when he's fucking 20. Peter's pretty good. Yeah, he's all right. But here's the thing, right? And who's got a wrinkly forehead? He's pretty good forehead. I just work on him. Works on me. I got a pretty wrinkly forehead, right? If I go into some surgeons, I'm sure I find a surgeon to tell me I've got degenerative forehead disease and I need to have Botox injections immediately.
No, Terry. Do you know what we say in the artistic community? You have a very expressive forehead.
Oh, I like that. I like that. I like that.
Because that's what I have to keep telling myself.
An expressive forehead.
And a very expressive.
It tells the story, you know.
Yeah, exactly. When you're telling stories, you're going, "Jeez, he's really getting into this. Look at the lines in his head."
He looks so old. But no, it's a thing. So if we, depending on whatever lens you look at it, but you can look at it through the lens where you think, oh, that's something wrong with that because it doesn't look like the textbook. But if no one else looks like the textbook guy, then maybe the fucking textbook is wrong. You know what I mean? The textbook picture of a spine, you see the anatomical pictures, you know? So in other words, what we're saying is things like disc bulges, spinal degeneration, even to some extent the fractures that gymnasts and tennis players can get every so often in the spine from hyperextension, rotation, those things, they're relatively normal. They're not necessarily a disease, and we tend to pathologize them. Now, I'm not saying that in all cases they don't need any intervention. What I'm saying is you don't treat the MRI, you treat the patient.
Yeah.
And the patient's a complex thing, and they're scared of their back, and they're acting out of that, and they're avoiding certain activities, and there's depression involved in a lot of people as well. It's a complex thing, much more complex than just an MRI. And we do know that if you get an MRI when you don't need it, so if you haven't had your back pain with these ridiculous symptoms, we call them, so like that numbness and a lot of pain down the leg and all that kind of stuff, or pain down both legs, if you get an MRI when you just have a backache, you end up with 4 times more opiates, 4 times more time off work.
You shouldn't say that. There's going to be people
this is
I better go get an MRI.
Opiates is great, isn't it? Go to the boardwalk, get me opiates. Let's go. Let's go. My doctor's in that boardwalk. Mika. Let's go. But that's the thing that happens. And the thing is, it's very unnecessary. We don't need to. And you guys, I think, are in a lot of ways, you get people coming in, and they get a sore back while they're training, no doubt. Or they get something happens. They say they increase their volume. What do you find happens? Is it more a volume thing, or they suddenly increase the intensity, or they get a bit of a flow? What do you see?
I think it might be something in terms of intensity. Like if you get up, especially if you get up on someone and you're starting to say, like, pull again, and they're, oh no, my back. My back, I've hurt my back now. Now, obviously, we don't. If we see someone whose back is fucking
for sure, you don't be reckless.
Bending out like this, we don't go again.
Yeah.
Like kind of okay.
He does.
You need to. It's like
he doesn't.
You need to. Obviously, there's a couple of things you need to work on. Let's work on your technique, whatever. That will find a place that you are at lower risk of injury, like a proper injury, we'll say, instead of at the risk of feeling a bit out of breath or feeling a bit tired. You know, that kind of way. But I find now, after I had my issue, so I had my impingement, and I had numbness in my leg, I couldn't feel my thigh, and I had burning in my feet. So I was always like, that's pretty, like there's something going on there. But the issue was in the hamstring. And it was because I had done something when I was younger, and I never really, I did something when I was younger. This is a confession. No, I basically threw my back into something when I was younger. Oh, here they are, the Pope over here for me.
That was actually really inappropriate. I'm now going to go and hang my head and shame.
So, like, it was something that I had thrown my back into something when I was younger, and the next day I was playing a rugby match. Didn't really think about it, and then I noticed, why the hell is my leg seizing on me? And I think it was because of the anxiety of it. Everything else, the issue was lying down here in the hamstring, and my glute was tight on me, but I get the pain in the lower back. And the reason it didn't release itself is because everything else was stopping it from releasing. But I didn't do anything about this down here or this in here. And when I finally got it sorted, it was because somebody had released all in here, and it was so simple. It was so, like, when I think of the sleepless nights I had, how simple it was to fix it. And my back just totally released itself. And as you say, it was like they allowed it to fix itself
as well, didn't you? You had a lot of sessions.
I had a lot of sessions where people were fucking getting their elbows in at it and all this kind of stuff, and I'd be on the table in agony going,
but how are we going to get paid by you?
They got their elbow in there. It was pretty miraculous, if I didn't say so myself. I mean, it's no surprise if you see the size things that come out of it.
That's some mad shit.
But that's a wellness centre. Show me the address for the wellness centre.
The wellness centre. Yeah. She was a good girl. No. This is getting way out of hand. But the whole thing was that my back released itself.
Yeah, and what we know about those neurological ones is that the majority, now when I say the majority, I don't want to overstate it, it's about 51-52% of them will resolve themselves within 30 days, treated with neglect, treated with no problem, nothing major, a couple of paracetamol, whatever, no big deal. They'll resolve themselves. You know, it's a self-limiting condition for the most part. There are some of them that are, you know, it's worth getting that stuff assessed for sure to make sure that it isn't, because it's a very small portion of back pain that is serious. Yeah, so you will hear them. They're out there in the community, you know, and they tend to stick in your head when you hear them as well. But it's a tiny minority. It's like 1 to 2% maximum, and they mainly much older people with a history of other serious systemic diseases. That's mainly what that is.
The
rest of them will resolve.
The reason I actually went originally to the physiotherapist was because I'd be playing rugby matches and my back would just start paining and my leg would seize.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, what the fuck is going on? Like, this is ridiculous. And I kept just saying, I just need to stretch my back out. I just need to fucking stretch it. And like, then the next week, playing, fine. Same thing would happen.
Yeah.
I'm like, right, now I better go see somebody about this, because this is a bit ridiculous. You know, I shouldn't be 20 years of age with a back issue like this. Like, this is ridiculous. That's when I started getting fucking, and it went on for about 3 years, and then it got really bad. I wasn't sleeping at night because my back was just fucking.
How many treatments did you get over the 3 years?
On my back?
Yeah.
There was one when I went in, and I went in 5 times, over a 5-week period, kind of like come into me once a week, and it wasn't able to take part, wasn't able to play rugby anymore. That's what I was told.
Ever? You were told that?
No, not like ever, but like just I told, like, don't play it now.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Kind of felt a little bit better then. I was like, oh, am I feeling, you know, is my back feeling okay? Then it would show up again, and then I go in, and I suppose I could even just get a sports massage, feel a little bit better about myself, and then I'd leave again. And then it was when it started, then it was about 3 years later, and I was lying in bed, and I was like, there's nowhere I can find a comfortable position. Now, there'd be times when I had pain in my back, and I go, I actually feel okay now. I'll sleep there, you know, because the pain isn't there. But it was no matter which way I turned, my back just wasn't letting go. Like, I was like, oh, fuck, something's wrong here. And that's when I was getting the burning down my leg and the numbness in my leg and everything like that. And then I went in, and I went into a clinic, and there was none of this bashing me. It was just all very, very light stuff. Manipulation of the tissue. I actually thought, I'm paying money for this, and they're doing fuck all. Because I was used to getting, like, bashed, you know, that kind of way. And it was.
You like a good beating.
Yeah. But you know, that kind of way. It was just, and I had 3 treatments, and after those 3 treatments, I felt so much better.
It's really interesting, and it didn't have to be too traumatic for you. And I think it's quite interesting, because if you think about the story you have in your head at the time, I'm playing around with the idea of narrative a lot. I don't know why that idea, that if you have a story about your back, so if your story you've been given about your back is that, oh no, it's not great, there's something serious going on there, or there's something out of place, or there's something whatever else. If you get a very sinister narrative about your back, the chances of being based on science are fairly slim. That it's actually an accurate one. You know, if someone tells you your pelvis is out of place, or you have some joint out of place, you need to put it back in. Yeah, it's a very common out there. I could show you PowerPoints of stuff I used to teach that 10 years ago that I thought it was real. It was out there in the literature. And I'll give you a really interesting stat that I found last year. Was this study came out, I think it was 2013, of Irish physios and physical therapists and athletic rehabilitation therapists. We get 5 times the national industrial average rate of low back pain. We get 5 times more than the average. So if you had plumbers that were getting 5 times more house floods, would you call your plumber, your neighbour plumber in your house, well, you get the fuck out of my house? But it's all right, I'll go for it myself, give me some gaffer tape, you're all right, bro. So, and we're at that, again, that ground zero for all the information about your core is weak and your posture is bad and you have to do this and there's stuff out of place in your spine and your pelvis and all that. We were at ground zero for that information, which turned out to be horseshit. Because it doesn't bear up when you actually assess it with science, it doesn't work. When you study it, it doesn't work. You know, it's not real. It's not actually. It's someone imagined it. Sounded like a good idea. Wrote it in a textbook. 10 years later, someone does a bit of research. Oh, it's not really like that. But the textbooks are still out there, and people have learned the stuff.
Yeah.
You know. So and it's pretty scary when someone tells you there's some shit out of place in your back. It's pretty scary.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I don't know what it is. Like I suppose it's because you always think of.
Yeah.
I know Christopher Reeves falling off his horse and it was a back injury and he was in a wheelchair and you're kind of thinking, oh, my spinal cord.
You're the second person in the last few days mentioned the wheelchair word when we were talking about backs. Actually, it's really interesting.
Yeah, but that's a few people. It's like, oh, if I hurt my back, I'll be in a wheelchair. As in, like, if I do it really badly, if I break my arm, I'm not going to be in a wheelchair. I'm going to be in a sling. But like, there's something.
Bring in the horse.
Actually, I did see some guy. We had like a strap. Like he was in one sling and he had like a strap over him.
Oh, the band! He has a band around his neck.
Fucking deadlift.
It's 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Where was it here?
No, on Instagram. Like, but he had like a.
I'm gonna have a look for that. Yeah.
I'll see if I can find it here.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That's funny.
I like that. Yeah. But that's the thing, you know what I mean? Because the complete rest we know is a terrible idea. So one of the things is the narrative is quite important. Now, when you get something clicked back into place, or something, sometimes you get battered in the table, it feels great. Sometimes you get that gentle treatment at the table, it feels great. what we know is there's been a lot of research into what's actually happening when we do that. And if, say, someone does a spinal manipulation, you hear a click, oh, Jesus, oh, that feels great, thanks very much. That's like, what's happening is the same as when you crack your knuckles. You're not going to pay someone, I don't know anyone that's going to pay someone 55, 60 quid to crack the knuckles a couple times a week. if you want that, we'll offer that service for anyone. So you're not paying me? Okay. but it's the thing, no one's paying it. But what happens is this. Structurally, they've done studies where you x-ray them before the manipulation, then x-ray them straight away afterwards. And you're talking about less than a millimetre, like 0.2 of a millimetre, something like that off the top of my head, difference in the joint space. There's no gross difference in where the bones are sitting. That doesn't happen. But you just get a nice big pop and you release some gas out of the joints in your back, no problem. But we know that you do get endorphin release, and endorphin is like your own body's morphine. It's your own body's painkiller and enkephalins, and you got a bag of that right back there in your brain, just above your brain stem, and that releases down your spinal cord and blocks any signaling coming in from the tissues, blocks any unnecessary pain out. So it works great, it works lovely. Now here's the thing, if you're miserable and depressed and you haven't trained in 3 weeks, where are you getting your endorphins? There's none for you.
On the boardwalk.
On the boardwalk. You gotta go and buy them. You gotta buy them. You gotta buy them and cook them. That's what you gotta fucking do. You gotta bring a spoon. Yeah, exactly.
But it is
that's
true.
The thing. You know, you got exorphins. Yeah, so you gotta, it's a thing. So that's the thing that happens. So again, the idea for people as well, if they have something like that, trying to work away with a bit of common sense and a bit of judgment and a bit of help if they need it. And that's where people can come in to know about it. But to train around the injury, where you guys can get them to train around it, and then to gradually confront it, and even doing stuff like doing pause squats, put with a pause for a couple of seconds, with just a bar, even something like that. Getting used to psychologically being in the positions, and you don't feel like you're totally, you're wasting away and whatever else. And you can set another goal. Well, you have any injury, doesn't matter what it is, if it's a tendon injury in your knee, tendon gets a bit irritated, something like that. You can set another goal somewhere. You can be flexible mentally, and I think that's what we try and do in clinic a lot of the time. We're trying to get someone, okay, well, you have this is going to have to settle. Yeah, it's going to take a couple of weeks, then we're going to have to load it up. And by a month, it's probably going to be settled down to your grand back training. What can you do with that month? What's your other goals? And if you're a golfer, it's great because you'll have a shitty short game. So you get them to really work on the short game. Well, they can't, If you're in a gym, it depends on what your goals are. But I'm sure you guys could find a goal to work on, couldn't you?
Oh yeah, like if I was injured, I'd be in
So you'd be in here doing something.
I go mad and all that.
This place had 50 people on Christmas Day. By what time was it? We had 50 something with Christmas Day.
No, at 2 o'clock we had 75 people at the time.
75 people.
I left anyway, and then what was it? Finished the day at like 1:30 something.
Something like that. When everybody's supposed to not train, and other places were closed because of that.
I love the day the storm Ophelia, and I was going to give you a ring. I said I'm going to ring.
Everyone gives out about Good Friday not being able to drink or buy drinks. So like,
it's nuts. I think most good gyms you ever in actually, and it's quite rare, but you get the good ones are like SBG, and that they'll have a roll on a Christmas morning or something like that. You know what I mean? They do. It's a thing people do. But I saw the day of storm Ophelia, I was saying, I'm going to ring Vitus and ask him. No. Because he's going to shout at me if I ask him that.
What is it?
He's going to
he's
fucking shout. He's going to get real on
sure he's not blown away.
So you are open then. Yeah, okay. So I called in and said, Vitus, you're open a storm. What did you say?
No, any calls about there?
It was a pussy lecture. You give me the pussy. You guys fucking pussies. They call themselves fucking Vikings. They think they're fucking Vikings. They're fucking closing this.
I gave you one. That was one good one on Facebook. I got text sent in saying it's a red alert because of hurricane. Is the gym open? I said, fuck yeah. I give red alert to hurricane. We were not here about 3 years ago, Lightning hit somewhere there in the main board, like somewhere near Dublin Fire Brigade. All lights went off, everywhere. All concealed gone. They have next door, like the Power City, they have own generator, so it's everything on, Just gone, black. It's like, 7, 8 o'clock or something like that. Everybody like fucking looking around like a nice like I hit. Just keep walking. I was like,
I was actually here. I was there amazed. I
can see it.
I said like I'll check there. Maybe floodlights are available. Whatever. Fucking I went in, got once, just select probably nothing. Put on the rack. The game nothing. That's like maybe meter.
Yeah.
That's it. Some of them like have flashlight on the phones put around and just kept training.
Don't you love that?
Not one person left. Through all that time. Not one. Few came in.
They're afraid of the dark. They don't want to go in.
Yeah. Need big lads around.
Felt more brave in here. Now, about the hamstring and the fucking lower back, why you say why that happened? What you think, like in the first place, why did that happen? Was it imbalances in the muscles or just like unlucky accident?
I think, well, originally it was because I tried to lift something on the right-hand side of my body, like this. Probably wasn't thinking about where my feet were, and it was a miscommunication in terms, like there was 12 of us had to carry this thing.
Okay, yeah.
So, and it was a miscommunication. On 3 means you lift on 3. And that's why I still actually have my bench count is on 3. I always do that. And I always say 1, 2, 3, as in on 3. That's
like Lethal Weapon, isn't it?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
What are we going on?
Yeah.
I don't want to ever spite you. I'm nervous now.
1, 2, 3. Yeah.
On
3 means on 3.
So you were the only one that lifted this fucking.
You're serious against as well. It's frightening. You can't do that to people.
Just fucking when I just think about all those nights when I was like, my back, for fuck's sake, that's why I get pissed.
Very frustrating. Yeah.
So I had my shoulder in on this side underneath, and it was one of these ones that you were leaning like that. 1, 2, 3, and I fucking
go
like this, right?
No one else
immediately went like that because everyone else fucking went, oh, go, or what, who, and then just and
Hey, retards there, no?
oh my god, like, and I knew straight away. I went, oh Jesus, that fucking felt funny. Like, straight away I knew what's after happening there. And like the thing is, I could have actually done something down here as well, like in the press, that I kind of something just went. Oh no.
Here's the thing: it's very, very hard for anyone to know when we look at you. We have a model we use now. We call back pain falls into a couple of different categories. You see, there's going to be specific stuff, which would be things like where you have a nerve root irritation or it's become sensitized to nerve root, or there's some specific condition going on. Then we have 90%, that's about 5%. Then we have 90% of stuff which is non-specific low back pain, which is minor sprains, strains, things like that, which is your general backache that you're going to get with things. Postural stuff, as in, when I say postural, I don't mean your posture's bad, I mean you're in one posture for too long, lactic acid builds up, your back gets a little bit sore. Like it would if you left your arm sticking out for too long in the one position. Do you know what I mean? You're designed to move around. You're that kind of animal, you're designed to move around. And it's very hard if someone's looking at your back and telling you exactly what's wrong with you by staring at your back. That's nice.
I'm just trying to stay mobile.
You're all right for like an hour. Good.
It was actually funny earlier. I was training and Blessing came in and your brother was on the I think he didn't know your brother. And he's like, "Who are you, your brother?" And he's like, "Oh, do you dance? Do you sing like your brother?" And all, like he was going.
Dance and sing. Like, I mean, I wish I could properly dance, but yeah.
Oh, you can dance.
Oh, I can dance.
I think that's a cue. That's a segue to the musical interlude here. So we're going to do the Bollywood bit. Yeah. But here's the thing: it's really difficult to know. But the narrative you have on it is important. But there's a concept that's quite important that we need to know about in our line of work is the pain process. That's what we go looking at. So, is it something that there's damage there that's resulting in that you have a certain amount of damage and you've got that much pain that's associated with that damage? So if something's broken, it should be very sore. If something's a little bit irritated, a little bit strained or something, that shouldn't be that sore. But we know it doesn't work like that. Sometimes you get a paper cut, it's really fucking sore. Then we know there's 5% of 20-year-olds going around there with a fracture. And it's not sore at all. They can't feel a thing, it's fine. Do you know what I mean? I think something like there was a stat for the American female gymnastics team. They had 4 fractures in their spine going into the Olympics. That was the average for the girls on the team a few years ago. That's when I think Simone Biles was in the team, that kind of thing. It was some stat around then, do you know? So that's what a human spine is so strong with all the tissue around it that it'll just take an awful lot of load. Now, I'm not saying that's super healthy, I'm not recommending that, but you're not doing gymnastics on a 4-inch beam, so you're all good, do you know what I mean? They're literally going into those extended positions repeatedly all day. But the thing is this, sensitivity means, the way we understand it now from the modern science, that you can have an awful lot of damage and not much pain, but more likely you can have a very small bit of damage and you lock it up and you tighten it up and you get a bit nervous about it, and the lactic acid starts to build up around it as well, and that makes the nerves more sensitive, and you get an awful lot more pain than you have damage. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And it's very complicated. It's in the tissues, locally in the tissues and the physiology around the nerves themselves and the nerve endings. It's in the psychology of it. It happens at the spinal cord level when stuff gets turned up because you don't have the endorphins to balance it out. You don't have the normal endorphins because you're afraid about it. Then once you understand that, you can start to let your smart part of your brain, the cognitive bit, go, okay, let's look at this rationally and get someone that knows what they're talking about. And I'm not saying come to me, but go to someone who knows what they're talking about, be it a GP or whoever, to check it out and see. Now, it does sound like you had, definitely a sensitized nerve root, an irritated nerve root, and the fact that it's better now. But again, it is important to know that's not the end of the world. As you saw, doing your 272 deadlifts, for anyone out there watching us, what was it? Two deadlifts. I thought it looked pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty decent, right? With a smile on your face and SpongeBob.
Of course, I was fucking delighted I got it up there. Jesus. No doubt there'd be a smile on my face.
Yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, that there's a way back from that, and those things do sort themselves out. Oftentimes with very little intervention. You don't need to spend the fortune on. How much did you spend?
Now, what I will say is at an age that I was lucky enough that my parents were still looking after me. So, so my parents spent that money.
What's your dad's name?
It was a lot. My what?
Your dad's name?
Lawrence.
Lawrence, on behalf of our profession, thank you very much for the contribution you made.
You kept someone.
Sorry it didn't work out well, but it worked out good for us.
You kept someone's heating on.
Wasn't me, so I'm all good. Yeah. All right, yeah, whoever it was, good on you.